Good morning, y'all. It's Cody. Cody's Bait and Tackle, Warsaw, Missouri. I'm going to talk a little bit about the fishing here lately. I've had a ton of people wanting to know why I hadn't done a report in the last 2 weeks. Uh, Fishing is very, very inconsistent right now. What works today is not going to work tomorrow as far as catfishing wise. Uh, Hybrids are hit and miss too. There's still a few fish down around KK Island. Hopefully, this cold front hits this week. We get some north winds. That fall bite will turn on. I put the boat in Friday morning at Berry Bend, and there was some white bass and hybrids on the banks in there chasing bait. Uh, Maybe a few largemouth. I don't quite know, but there was definitely fish chasing bait on some of them points in there while I was catching shad. Uh, I have not seen anybody really trying to fish that bite yet, so I don't know if it's turned on or not. Usually that everybody's been asking, when's it going to turn on? It takes wind. Uh, you'll catch a few without wind, but you get a good windy day where it's hard to hold the boat. That's when you're going to catch the most white bass and hybrids on them wind-blown banks and points. Uh, I I expect that to kick off this week. I thought it was going to kick off a couple weeks ago when we started getting all them cold fronts. The hybrids, a lot of them kind of thinned out in areas and started pushing up on some of them big giant mud flats. And usually, once you start seeing them real scattered out on the mud flats, that's when they are going to push up on them wind-blown banks when you get the right wind. Uh, but it has not happened yet. We've had a few windy days, but it wasn't enough to get the fish up there, I don't think. And from what I've seen, like the wind-blown bank catfish bite, I haven't seen it too much yet. Usually during the fall, sometimes up on the shallow end of the lake, you can get on them wind-blown banks and do really good. I've actually drift fished up there a couple of times. One day did real good, several big, 20-pound fish over the slot fish. The next day we was up there. It was slow. We caught a good mess of eaters, but few slot fish, didn't have any big fish. I was pulling big baits on planer boards, just trying to catch big fish, and maybe 15 pounds was the biggest Friday. But we caught fish. I mean, it was just a real slow bite up there. Tally Bend area, I have not heard anything good up there catfishing wise. Everybody's been asking about that. One guy told me they fished most of the day, caught 15 fish, and not one was over 2 or 3 pounds. Just real small eaters was all they could catch up there. I do know there's been some big fish caught scattered all over the lake on jugs, but I'm just talking rod and reel fishing mostly. The main lake, I have caught fish absolutely all over the main lake, but not a real good consistent bite. You might run through a school of fish and catch 8 or 10 or 15 of them real quick and then turn around and go back to them and not get bit. I've seen that more in the last 2 weeks than I think I've ever seen. I don't know what's triggering them to feed when they do. There's just so much bait in the lake. I think when a few of them start feeding, they all feed real quick and then they're done. They just get full real quick. There's just millions of little 1 and 2 inch shad out there, so they don't have to really look for food right now. As far as crappie, everybody seems to be catching crappie pretty good right now. This weekend, I've talked to just about everybody that said they's catching fish. I have heard just about every pattern imaginable on crappie. I had some people in Thursday or Friday, they were still catching limits pulling crankbaits. And normally by now, I don't hear that. I guess this heat kind of scattered some of them back out in the bait balls. Up around Sparrowfoot, the shallow end of the lake, several of the guides up there just chasing, roaming, fishing them bait balls with live scope, dropping jigs down on them, and they're catching them. Buckshaw area has been doing really good. Several people up there catching limits pretty easy. They said pretty much if you can find fish and stay on them, they'll eat. As far as the main lake, I've heard brush piles and 10 to 15 foot of water still. I've heard some of the standing timber along the bluffs, channel swings and stuff down 15 to 20 foot down. I have heard everything this last 3 or 4 days. So which this cold front coming in tonight and tomorrow might change that, hopefully. Hopefully these fish kind of get on a pattern and stay on it this fall. I think the white bass and hybrids, like I said, I think they'll kick off this week. Largemouth bass, there's a kids bass fishing tournament. Several of them boys and girls was in here yesterday. They struggled all day yesterday catching bass on Truman. Heard of very few keepers being caught. Kind of just like the white bass and hybrids, they're scattered right now. Probably a lot of them out deep. Some of them can be on them windblown banks. Some of them will be in your pockets chasing bait. From what I heard, there was no pattern to them yesterday. One group that did catch a couple of keeper bass, they said they caught all theirs just throwing jigs kind of down the ledges, and they did catch a few. So that's the only report I've got on that. I haven't heard of any walleye coming out this week, but I haven't talked to anybody that's really tried walleye fishing. But that's about all I've got as far as a fishing report. Lake of the Ozarks down below the dam is really slow. Heard of a few crappie coming off underneath the docks and stuff like that. That's been about it. Other than that, not much going on down there. No catfish. The crappie bite in the dead water slowed way down. They did run water a few evenings this week, and I think they caught some hybrids and white bass on spoons when they was running that water, but that was the only thing I heard of, and it wasn't very many, it didn't sound like. So, but lake gets turned over here in the next couple weeks. We got cold weather coming, cold nights coming. I think it'll all be good, so it'll get better quick. So just stay tuned in. As soon as you don't hear another fishing report from me, there's not been much change. As soon as everything starts changing, when this cooler weather comes in, I'll get everybody back updated. Let you know as soon as that white bass and hybrid bite starts on the points. Probably be by next weekend, honestly, if we get wind. So I'll try to get another report up as soon as I start hearing of that. That's about all I've got for you. Bait shop's still fully stocked. Few things I might be out of. Few inventory starting to run out I can't get. Don't know what the deal is with that, but order I placed this week, there was a lot of stuff I didn't get in that I needed. So we'll see. Hopefully that stuff starts trickling back in. But that's all I've got. Get out there, give the fishing a try. Weather's going to be nice and cool here in the next couple of weeks, it looks like, hopefully. Rolling into fall now, so everything should get better. I appreciate it, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.